Well, folks, a lot of you all, Military Collectors TV, both of our Facebook, our YouTube channel, and our website, and, you know, just followers of the TV show, have asked about vehicle restoration. Well, I've got a good candidate for you, okay? We already posted the acquisition of this vehicle a couple of months ago, but now what I want to do is a series of short segments on this particular military vehicle collector frame, okay? And it's a WC-53, it's a 1942, it is a Carryall version, okay? Now, I actually now own two of these. A good friend of mine was so gracious to allow me to buy this one because, again, there's probably not many of these left. Some in museums, some around the country, but not many, and I am so fortunate to have two. The other one, you're already seeing a show about that soon. It is probably in an 85% restoration stage, but this one, it is what you see it is, okay? So, what is the value of one of these things? Is it worth restoring? Is that kind of where you start? Well, for me, yeah. The collectability of one of these things is, first of all, finding one that's still it'll roll, and actually are all the toys and parts to it. Do they come with it? Well, as you can see, this one here, as opposed to the other one I have, is an earlier version. This one was an early 1942, may have been late 41, because see, this is the Dodge tag, and sometime in late to mid-1942, the military, as they began to take the possession of between 6,000 and 7,000 of these, they had Dodge nameplates on the earlier models, okay? And then the military made them take them off because, again, it wasn't a paid advertisement for Dodge. They just made them all generic. So, having a look at this thing, you really would understand that, okay, Bob, have you lost your mind? Well, maybe to a normal person out there, but for somebody that collects military vehicles and knows the value, I think you all will agree that this one is worth saving, okay? Yeah. Is there some problems with it? Okay. Obviously, from the first part, the hood is obviously off of this thing. That's not a problem. That's going to be an easy fix. Got a new hood hinge for it, replaceable. And you know, from a perspective of where do you find parts for these, and in my mind, as I'm going around this vehicle, okay, I got to have this, I got to have that. Not a problem. Vintage Power Wagons out in Iowa. Jens Butler is a great source for that. John Bizal, up Midwest Military, up in Minnesota, is another guy. There's also various other folks around the country. My good folks at DCM Classics up in Michigan, who reproduce a lot of the parts to these old Dodge trucks and Power Wagons, and they've even fabricated some things for me if I send them the original, like fuel tanks, like the windshield frames, which are no longer available. So many of the parts on these things are not very readily available on the used market, or finding new old stock out there anymore, just probably not going to happen. Okay, so as I look around this thing, yeah, the windshield's probably gone. Going to have a new frame, no problem. Got a little bit of cancer here on the fender. The engine, that thing now, as we're going to talk here in just a second, how authentic is this? Do the engine numbers match? Originally, Dodge in 1942, the engine that came in these, I know after the other one had a T214 engine, and that was a truck engine. And the T stood for truck. And then it was made in 1942 to 1945. That was the engine they put in there, Flatheads Dodge 6. This particular numbers on this engine starts with a D22. Now, could that be a replacement engine somewhere along its life? Don't know, but a D22 engine in the massive of numbers was a Dodge car engine for 1942. It may have been what they had available early on in the production of these, and Dodge just said, here, this is going to be the engine, but this one will work in the earlier versions, maybe late 1941 and early on in 42. Fenders, that's no big deal. I got those, I can do that. Walking around the vehicle, okay, you know I'm going to have all the glass. okay, which is not a problem. I've done that once. I can do it again. Running boards, this one can be repaired, but I'm going to fix it. And then when you get in along the side here, you've got side glass, and these are all rolled down and rolled up. The big thing on the inside of these is in these window pockets, just how much rust is in there. I can tell you this one, because it's set out in the Midwest, as opposed to the other one I have. This one's probably got bad mechanisms in it. A little bit more difficult to find, but you know, you just got to be patient. What went here in this hole? This was an antenna mount. Readily available. The side fenders look to be good. There is a little bit of cancer on some of the inside of the fender, but that's not a big deal. That can all be replaced and repaired. Now, when I'm looking back here at the rear, okay, the most important part of a vehicle like this is the tailgate here and the upper door. Don't matter about the glass, none of that sort of thing. But these parts are so rare, and they don't reproduce them. And even if you do it, I'm not sure you could afford it. But again, the tailgate is all there. Yeah, it's got a little bit of dents and dings. That's okay. That's fixable. But this looks to be original. Now, when you look inside the rear of the vehicle, this had a wooden bed floor, okay? And at DCM Classics, the guys have already told me that they can replace the wood in here. Not a big deal. They'll cut it out. But as you see over here on inside the fenders, where the water has probably run off the top of it over years of just sitting outside, that's all going to have to be fixed. Is it doable? Yes, it is, because the frame underneath is okay. So, having said all of that, and the rear of this vehicle, going down there are probably other things, but matching numbers, okay? How do you figure that out? Well, you can go to some different websites, pull up Dodge engine World War II numbers. There's some folks that have already done the math for you. I did it. That's how I found out that this was a Dodge 6-cylinder flathead car engine from 1942. Now, going on around this side, this is where the battery belongs, okay? The battery box is gone. That's easy. The frame down here, easily repaired, not a problem. That's easy stuff. Get a new battery box from Jens Butler up at Vintage Power Wagons up in Iowa, not a problem. You look in here, one of the things that I look at is here on the glove box. These look to be original ID tags, merely because it just has that appearance that they have not been replaced at some point in time in the life of this vehicle. This vehicle probably had a radio in it because it had a voltmeter that was in here. So this could have been a radio truck at some point. But anyway, on this pull down, the glove compartment seems to be okay, but you know, you got a little bit of rust up on the top outside, but other than that, it seems to be intact. Floorboards are all good here, not a big deal. Now, one of the key pieces that you got to find in one of these vehicles is the seat frames inside. This had 3 rows of seats, and it had a seat here that folded up. I've got one of those coming. I found it out on the West Coast, as well as a middle seat frame, which is a little bit different and had little arms on it, and they all snapped in to these plates in the floor. So I've got one left that I can find somewhere out there. Somebody's got a rear seat. I know they do, and I'll find it. Okay. From any other perspective like that, the drivetrain, it steers, it moves, it does all the things that you need it to do. I would say this vehicle, worth just like it is now on the hoof, as found anywhere, is probably anywhere from $14,000 to $17,000 if you can find one that really is this complete. So value-wise, yeah, some folks may argue with me about that. That's okay. But go find one and see what these folks want for them. I can tell you, there's not many out there. So other than that, the headlight, this is not the right bucket for it. That's not a big deal. The wheels and tires, they're all combat rims, not a big deal. I'll find all those. But this is a very, very good restoration candidate. And in a future segment, we're going to talk about restoration overall. What's it cost? What does it entail? Because there's a lot of different terminology that a lot of folks use in this business about what restoration really means. So if you like this segment and you want to see more of these segments, log on to militarycollectorstv.com, go to our Facebook page, or go to our Military Collectors TV YouTube channel. channel, and these segments will be out there, and you can see all of them in a series as I tear this vehicle apart and put it back together.